Welcome into Sports Memo's Betting Podcast NFL Opening Line Report each and every Monday with Teddy Covers. Teddy, happy Monday morning to you. How you feeling?
Well, each and every Monday during football season. I can't give an NFL Opening Line Report in the middle of the summer, man. It's not going to happen. But we got a couple more weeks, and of course we'll do it. We'll do a little recap on the day after the Super Bowl for sure. But we've only got a few more of these left this football season because we're down to one game, Drew. Well, there's a Pro Bowl. I'm not going to try to handicap the Pro Bowl. Good luck to anyone that wants to bet the Pro Bowl. I know there are guys that do handicap the rosters and go through and figure out which QBs and wide receivers have combos together and what offensive lines have a chance to play. I'm not going to do that for the Pro Bowl. So if you're betting the Pro Bowl, good luck. All that said, one game left. So obviously there'll be a fair bit of attention placed on that one game over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely, Teddy. Talking about Super Bowl 54, the teams are set. NFC and AFC championship games were just yesterday. We're talking Monday here. Looks like, Teddy, San Francisco, Kansas City, we're seeing the total. It got pushed up here. Now seeing Chris showing 53.5. Some books actually as high as 54 right now. And pretty consensus as we're talking right now, at least in the Vegas sports books, -1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, we're talking Monday morning early here, Pacific time zone. But San Francisco, Kansas City, Super Bowl 54 in Miami, Florida. Hard Rock Stadium there in Miami Gardens. I'll throw it over to you, man. Opening line report style. What are you thinking?
Okay, so let's start with the look-ahead line.
Okay.
And we did have look-ahead lines this week, and the look-ahead line for a potential Chiefs-49ers Super Bowl matchup was KC -1. With, I believe, the total look-ahead total was 52.5. So we're not far off the look-ahead line. My power rating number for this Super Bowl is KC -1, and the total I made was 52.5. So, again, right in that same range. And here we're looking, this has been, the recent trend has been towards lower point spread Super Bowls. And this is going to be another one where, KC is going to go off the favorite, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of San Fran money driving it back based on one factor and one factor only. Because from a handicapping standpoint, all right, you have the best quarterback in the NFL on one side and the defense that's playing the best in the NFL on the other side. And it really comes down to that, in my mind. That's half of it. On the other end of the equation is, San Fran has been able to win 2 playoff games, relying on the defense and not needing basically anything from Jimmy Garoppolo. They've been able to run the football extraordinarily successfully against the Packers and the Vikings the last couple of weeks. And if they do that here against the Kansas City defense that is not known for their run-stopping prowess, there's a strong case to be made for the 49ers in that regard. So this game, from everything that I've read, everyone that I've talked to since we've seen these lines come up, this game's going to get two-way action. This is not a game where we're going to see the public loading up on one side and the wise guys on the other, or vice versa. I think we'll see a fair bit of sharp support for San Francisco before kickoff just because of their defensive pedigree. But this is the one game across all sports where the public legitimately has an impact on where this number goes. And Patrick Mahomes is a pretty big following right now. I'm not convinced in the broader markets that we're going to see the San Francisco money. I do think that the wise guys are more likely to play the 49ers here, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be a real sharp influx of San Fran money. I'm not, simply because when you look at the Chiefs down the stretch, their defense has been every bit as that of their opponents. The Kansas City's defensive numbers season long don't compare at all with San Francisco's. During the current streak that they're on, they compare fairly well with San Francisco's. It's a Chiefs defense that has gotten significantly better down the stretch, although it's a 49ers defense that is healthy now for the first time over the back half of the campaign. That was not a healthy defense. So, both of these defenses may be a little bit underrated when we think about full season long stats. But I think KC's current form is a bigger dichotomy from their season numbers than compared to San Fran's current form versus their season-long numbers. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And yeah, I mean, as a sports bettor, finding change, we kind of get it here with both of the defenses, with the Chiefs playing better of late, like you mentioned, and also San Francisco's defense, in my opinion, playing better as well. But that's mainly because they got more healthy, right, Teddy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 49ers were missing, multiple key pieces down the back end of the regular season. And they've basically gotten everyone back for this postseason run, and it's made a big difference. I mean, if you watch the Niners defense against Green Bay yesterday, not a lot of missed tackles. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that game was decided very early, but it was decided very early by the abilities of the two defenses. On the very first, the Niners went punted on their first drive, but on their second drive, when they marched 90-something yards down the field, it was all missed tackles and more missed tackles. And on the other end of the equation, the 3rd and 8, the touchdown run, missed tackles. Whereas on the San Fran side of the equation, Rodgers kept throwing short and nobody missed it. And nobody was able to get out and make a play because the Niners, their execution, their attention to detail on their defensive execution was extraordinary yesterday, and has been, in both playoff games.
Yeah, and San Francisco really didn't have to pass. Jimmy G only had, 8 pass attempts?
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. I mean, for this style of NFL football that we've seen, I mean, 8 pass attempts, and you're finding yourself here in the Super Bowl. And it's not like he had to. It's nothing against Jimmy G. It was just, heck, the running game was working and the defense was working. So why risk anything else, right, Teddy? Sure.
One would think in the Super Bowl, Jimmy G is going to have to chuck it around a little bit. And that's my biggest concern for the San Fran side. It really is. You can't compare Jimmy G with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and Jimmy G is, like maybe the equivalent of a second-year starter who's still finding his way with a receiving core. Again, they got rebuilt during the season and doesn't have the weapons that the Chiefs have when it comes to, I understand what Kittle has done. And I understand what Sanders has done. It's not like they have nothing, but you can't. Chiefs have the better of these two passing games by a pretty strong margin. And I mean, KC's shown in both their two playoff games they can take a punch and punch back, which San Fran hasn't faced that level of adversity here in the postseason.
And Teddy, for Kansas City, we got arguably the best player in the NFL going up against, like you said, playing the best defense right now. And it kind of sounded to me anyway, I know you didn't say there'd be a lot of sharp movement here in terms of moving the side, but maybe you have a little lean here towards San Francisco getting a little bit more of the sharp money. And would that be because what defense wins championships, or is there anything behind that?
When you have the elite offense against the elite defense in the Super Bowl, the elite defense tends to come out on top. That's been the history. Mm-hmm. And the 49ers defense certainly, they tick all of check all the boxes for elite defense. So that's been the history. All that said, Patrick Mahomes, as I've said, this isn't new. As you've been saying, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and there's no debate. Okay, it's not like it's Patrick or somebody. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and the best quarterbacks in the NFL tend to win Super Bowls and pick-em type games. So. It's not an easy one for me. I'll put it that way.
In totals wise, Teddy, we're seeing it 53.5, depending, what opener you want to go off of here. A little bit of push towards the over. Where do you see this total falling by, I guess, next Sunday?
Okay, so the early money towards the over has very little to do with actual opinion. It's a gauge of where the markets are moving, and let's get the best of the number right now. And remember, for the Super Bowl, the limits are sky high, okay? You can bet more on the Super Bowl than you can for any other game. You're not getting $1 million bets down in the regular season. I'll take $1 million bet on the Super Bowl. Books will do it. Not every book, but, books that aren't afraid of the risk, will take large wagers on this game because they know that, there's not any hidden information. That's one thing that's unique about the Super Bowl as well. The public has an impact in the line. There's absolutely every bit of information is a spotlight shined right on it. So the books aren't worried about somebody knowing something that they don't. Everyone knows everything for this game. So it is unique in a couple of different ways. When we talk about this total, your question was about the total, right?
Yeah, where do you see the number falling by next Sunday?
Sure. So with the early money for the over, that's not the wise guys taking opinion they like the over. That's the wise guys taking opinion of this is the way the markets are going to move. You see?
Okay.
And I would not be surprised at all to see some buyback on the under before kickoff. Nor would I be, like I said, the look at line was 52.5. My number was 52.5. We've seen over money come, and again, over yesterday, and both offenses look pretty good doing it. So it's not like the public's about to start pounding the under here. And we talk about how high does it go before the buyback comes. I think we see some buyback on the under here, but as long as the total's going up, there's no reason to start that buyback process. So that might come very late. The books that cater to recreational bettors are already at 54 for this game. Some of the books that cater to public bettors, or the wise guy bettors, are already up to 54 for this game. I would think that before we see any significant buyback, we'll see 54s. And from 54, we might see some under money come in. But whether that's enough to move the market, again, the Super Bowl has such a different market. The wise guys can pound and pound and pound, and it might not make any difference if the public loves the over as much as I think they are likely to love the over in this ball game. And of course, off of last year's snooze fest, public's really hoping for an over this time around, I'm sure.
Yeah, don't forget. I mean, the so-called sharp side was not right last year. It was pretty much wrong in that Patriots game. But Teddy, do want to bring up you say you can bet.
Stop for a minute there, because I don't know that I agree with that. I know that the sharp side last year was L.A. Patriots didn't do anything in that game. It was the Rams, the offense that couldn't work, as opposed to New England blowing them out. New England, I mean, they didn't blow them off the field. They had one touchdown. There was enough. It wasn't like the wise. Oh my God, the wise guys were a bunch of ass clowns last year. They got it completely wrong. It was a tight game into the fourth quarter. LA wasn't the right side, but New England scored 13 points and won and covered. And their team total was well above 13 for that game. So the wise guys' dismissal of the Patriots last year in the biggest game of the season, it was half wrong, but it was half right. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the Patriots played a great game start to finish on offense and blew them out. See what I'm saying? It wasn't dead wrong.
Yeah, but going off of what you just said, I'm guessing you bet the Rams.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't lose it. Absolutely.
All right, Teddy. All right, let's. I had some questions here for you. Okay, you bring up $1 million bets for the Super Bowl. Can somebody go up to a sports book right now and bet $1 million today, or is that more towards kickoff?
That's an interesting question. I would think that someone wanted to bet it today. Again, for $1 million bet, you got to get approval.
Okay.
But I would think that the books will be that a book that is comfortable with their line, as the books appear to be right now, would absolutely take $1 million bet on Monday morning. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, it might. You don't usually see it, but stranger things have happened.
Okay. Do you think, in your opinion, it matters with the Super Bowl where these teams are from, in the sense San Francisco is a high-income area, financial base, a lot of wealthy 49ers fans. Kansas City, nothing against Kansas City, just compared to San Francisco, their kind of following, their backing isn't going to be as wealthy per capita.
I don't think there's anything to that. I mean, if it's not just the local fans who are betting the Super Bowl,
right?
Yeah. So in terms of the local fan bases and their respective income levels, I think has very little to do with where the action's going to go, and the fact that the San Fran people can afford to make, in theory, bigger bets than the 49ers. I'm not buying that as a theory.
Okay. Prop betting. When should we expect most of the props to be released, and your overall thoughts on when to start betting them, where to be betting them at? Do you have any recommendations of sports books you like to be betting the props at?
Oh, I mean, the props is all about market shopping. And again, if ever there's a time that it really matters to have multiple sportsbook accounts, this is that week, because everyone's going to post numbers, okay? Mm-hmm. And this book, once they post, and the action is fast and furious, especially over the weekend when everyone comes into town. The lines will sit. The props will open. You asked me a bunch of questions. So the props open this Thursday night. The Westgate Superbook is the famous prop report, and that comes out Thursday night at 7 p.m. If you're in Las Vegas, I encourage you to go to Superbook USA on Thursday night. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll be down there. Drew, you going to come down?
Yeah, I'm going to be down there.
Yeah. So we'll be down there on Thursday night. You can come by and say hi. It is legit. It's the only wise guy party that I've ever been to, where there literally are just about, I'm not going to say every wise guy bettor in Vegas, but just about every sharp bettor in Vegas is at the Superbook. And there's, it's quite a scene. And the lines jump around. And so off the openers, the lines go crazy. And then they sit. And they sit all week. They'll come up this Thursday night. I expect to put out my goal is to have my entire Super Bowl report up next Monday at this time. Props, side, total, whatever we're going to have for the Super Bowl. My goal is to have it up a week from today. I don't always reach that goal. There's a chance it might not be till later in the day, next Monday, or potentially even Tuesday. But my goal is next week on this time we can tout the report. But once those books open their numbers, and once everyone rolls into town for the Super Bowl, you will see one book's taking all this over money on this guy, and another book's taking all this under money on that guy, and you'll see really dramatic disparities at times between sportsbook and sportsbook. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be, because in the old days, you used to have to wait in line from sportsbook to sportsbook in Vegas, and you'd see the market inefficiencies last longer. Now, when you can do it on the apps, the app betting makes the market inefficiencies not last quite as long, but there are still differences from one book to the next right up until kickoff on prop after prop after prop. So it's a great time for line shoppers. And if you shop around, you will, you'll find the best of the number on all kinds of different stuff. It may not help you have a winning Super Bowl Sunday, but you'll at least be getting the best of the number on stuff.
Yeah, and for those people in Las Vegas going to the Westgate on Thursday night, they will not have it available on the app at the opener.
Yeah, they never do.
Okay. Just wanted to, just so people weren't sitting at home thinking that they were going to be able to bet it. It will happen later in the week, but not for the opener. Props in terms of not necessarily in Vegas, Teddy, but offshore. We got props. I'm just looking at Bet Online right now. Demi Lovato, the length of the national anthem. What she's wearing. Is she going to have nail polish? I'm just going down the list here. Do you recommend betting on those type of props?
So the props that are allowed in Las Vegas, in the state of Nevada, versus the props that are allowed offshore, night and day. In Nevada, whatever gets graded has to be graded by an official source, which normally means a box score. Okay. When you have the over-under on the national anthem, there's been controversy on this stuff. Where, how long was it? I don't remember who it was, but it was right around the number a couple years ago, and someone had it at under and someone had it at over, and it mattered to where you got the number. These are recreational bets. If you want to put $20 down on whether Demi Lovato goes over or under, knock yourself out, or what color nail polish she's wearing, knock yourself out. If you're talking about betting serious money on this stuff, you better have good knowledge. And again, those aren't bets that you can make here in Vegas, or I think anywhere in the United States. The stuff that gets graded here has to be coming from an official source, of which there isn't one, for what color the Gatorade's going to be, or how long the national anthem's going to be, or that kind of stuff. So, I mean, they're fun props to talk about. Mm-hmm. They're amusing, they're interesting, they get pub. All the offshores want to make sure that they, put a ton of publicity on their props. They should send out press releases with all the different props they have, because this is where they get their free pub. Mm-hmm. But you're getting free marketing dollars when you do that stuff. but it has very little, in terms of actual betting results. It's the kind of stuff you like betting, knock yourself out. But those are bets you got to keep small.
He's Teddy Covers. And, guys, we got a special package here and a coupon code for this podcast. We got a special package up at sportsmemo.com for Teddy Covers and myself, Drew Martin. Through the Super Bowl, every sport we release for only $149 on the website, and you can get an extra $50 off with the coupon code here for the podcast. Just NFL at checkout for the special package, 2-week package here throughout the Super Bowl, every play released for just $149, and you can take an extra $50 off using the coupon code NFL at checkout. That will give you every play throughout the Super Bowl. From Teddy Covers, who's hot right now, 67% in the NFL the last 6 weeks. Also 67% in the NBA since Christmas. 73% college hoops last 9 days, Teddy. You're seeing it well, man.
Well, I mean, it's been a pretty good run. I had a good weekend. Yesterday wasn't a great day. Hoops has been really good. The NFL has been solid for the better part of the back end of the campaign. And I'm not the only one who's seeing things pretty good right now, Drew. I had a rumor that you've hit, 9 of your last 10?
Hey.
90% all sports run. I'd like to see that, buddy. Well done. And, of course, the coupon code is good for you as well as me. Take advantage. It really is, and the advantage of this, obviously, you get every play between now and the Super Bowl, whether it's NFL, whether it's the NBA, college hoops. You get the prop package, you get the Super Bowl package, and for $99, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Absolutely. All the plays, including the prop package, every sport throughout the Super Bowl, $50 off using the coupon code NFL at checkout. That's a special package there at sportsmemo.com. We just got a late question here from Aaron Williams on Twitter. Teddy, how do you handle right side wrong result with your plays? Not a miracle play that is a bad beat for you, but a game where you got the right number, game played out exactly as you forecasted, but it's a losing ticket.
So if the game played out exactly how I forecasted, it wouldn't be a losing ticket. I appreciate the question, Aaron.
Yeah.
But when you say right side wrong result, how do you handle that? It's inevitable. Okay, that's going to happen as part of what we do. Is a game's going to play out mostly like we think it's going to, but some weird thing's going to happen and you end up not covering. You don't throw out the baby with the bathwater in those type of situations. You don't want to overreact. Say, I messed everything up. I had it all wrong. No, you had it right. You had a bad luck result in those games. Those can and will happen, but it's not anything that I'm looking at. And I try to be realistic with myself, whether it was a wrong side or not. Sometimes, a lot of times, I was the right side. It was the right side. Oh, maybe it wasn't. Mm-hmm. I was trying to talk into the Rams as not being the wrong side in the Super Bowl last year. I know they were the wrong side, but they weren't that wrong of a side was all I was saying. There was parts of the Rams game plan that worked. Their defensive game plan worked great. Wade Phillips nailed it. The offense didn't do anything. So there's plenty of games you're going to be half right and half wrong. And whether you cash or don't cash depends on a multitude of factors. Bottom line, with any game, Aaron, and I really appreciate the question. You've been asking questions every week, and I'm happy to answer them every week. Good guy, Aaron Williams. It's a situation where it's just part of your mental approach. You're going to have tough losses where you thought you were right and where you were right. It happens all the time. In the NBA, it happens all the time. You're covering for 47 minutes and 30 seconds and not the last 30 seconds. But you just take your breath and come back and attack it the next day. You don't want to completely get turned around and overreact to what is an inevitable part of betting, which is right side wrong results. It does happen at times, and sometimes they get strung together. I mean, so my NBA has been good, and I've had, I think, 4 losses out of my last 6 or something have been like a point or half a point or a game that I'm supposed to win and I don't. And I could be on this monster NBA run right now. And instead I'm on a good. I'm not going to complain about 67% from Christmas, but it could be a really big NBA run right now, and it's not because I haven't been able to cash those. A lot of the close ones, unfortunately, or a good handful of them, and that's inevitable. It's what we do. It's going to happen. You can't let that stuff freak you out.
Teddy, we're just going to fire off a couple questions here off the top of my head for the Super Bowl. Kansas City, San Francisco. is either side more? Does either side gain anything over the other with the extra week of preparation, in your opinion?
I think that's advantage San Fran.
Okay.
Shanahan's sharp, man.
Okay.
Shanahan's a sharp dude in a way that nothing against Bieniemy and nothing against Andy Reid, but I mean, did you watch Andy Reid screw up the timeouts and screw up the, as they're trying to close out the game and let's make sure we don't look for a fake punt, an obvious fake punt spot. I mean, Shanahan's a bright guy, and the offensive game plans for San Fran are pretty impressive. I think 2 weeks helps him more than it might help KC.
Yeah, good point. I'd agree with you. Also, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, man. It being in Miami, I'm trying to find any advantages. Do you think there's an advantage any way you can think of it with it being in South Florida? Possibly, South Florida weather. Too hard to predict 2 weeks out, but maybe jumping on the under now, and then as we get closer, rain and wind. It's an open-air stadium. Anything else of that nature that you can think an advantage of it being in Hard Rock Stadium?
54s. I mean, if you wanted to bet the over now, I wouldn't say, no, we can't make that bet. Mm-hmm. You can absolutely make that bet. I'm not convinced it's going to go higher than 54. But it might. It's not a situation where, so far the total's going up. And when I start to see the total go down, that's when you say, all right, hurry.
Okay.
We haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
There was another Twitter question. How do you spell doodly-oop?
Yes.
Yes. And there's no doodly-oop for this game. There's not an emergency betting. At this stage, there is not an emergency betting alert. Not for side, not for total. If we'd have done the show last night, we could have done a doodly-oop for the total. It was clearly on the rise. That's no longer the case today. Doodly-oop is spelt doodle, DOODLE dash EE dash OOP. Doodle-e-oop. Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
There you go. Well done, Daddy. All right. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Well,
for future reference.
It's been a good pod here, man, breaking it down from the start in terms of the Super Bowl, both side, total, and some props and questions as well. Is there anything else you wanted to throw out before we shut this down, Teddy?
No, I just want to say thanks for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with Drew and I. We appreciate it. Take advantage of that coupon code. Again, Drew's red hot right now. He's won 9 of his last 10, and he doesn't want to brag about it, so I'll brag about it for him. And I'm running pretty good as well, so you can get on board with any of those packages right now. Last thing I have to say for the Super Bowl, and especially in a world now where gambling, a lot of people are gambling for the first time or really getting the options in front of them for the first time. It's just one game, okay? It's Christmas for sports bettors. It is. Super Bowl is nothing like it, but it's just one game. And I hate to see people go crazy when it's just one game. I understand you're gonna. It is what it is. But it's just one game. All right. I've got as much money involved in the NBA tonight as it will for the entire Super Bowl. It's just one game.
I 100% agree, Teddy. And, don't bet anything you can't afford to lose. Always a good mindset for sports bettors. And, guys, check out Teddy Covers' his packages at sportsmemo.com. 67% in the NFL the last 6 weeks, 67% in the NBA since Christmas, and 73% in college hoops the last 9 days. Of course, the special package up at sportsmemo.com. You'll get every play releases throughout the Super Bowl, available for myself as well, Drew Martin, for $149, all plays in all sports throughout the Super Bowl. And with the coupon code NFL at checkout, it will take an extra $50 off, so only $99 throughout the Super Bowl for every play in every sport. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. We'll be back tomorrow with Andrew McGinnis breaking down the NHL. Best of luck with your bets.